QCC. I'm looking at myself on TV. I'm not supposed to. It says, look at camera, not here. This is Chris Herbert's secret. He looks over here like he's looking at somebody. I actually have somebody here, Jim O'Connell.
Hi, folks. How are you?
Who's looking up an editorial online on...
Today's editorial from the Union Leader.
What kind of phone is that, my friend?
Well, this is
it an iPhone?
It is, but it's the iPhone something or other. I've forgotten what it is, but anyway, I don't know. It's an iPhone.
I'll take a minute or two. You know, my previous incarnation, I wrote about the motion pictures. I used to have 650 biographies up on the Internet Movie Database, which may be the number 5 biographer, but I noticed 30 of them are gone as various shenanigans happen. There are these people that will go on to it and change it a little, then they'll say it's by John Hopwood and so.
Oh, right.
One guy did my Marlon Brando and rearranged the paragraphs to make it insensible, well, to me. And then Bruce Stern's manager called me up and says, John, can you update Bruce Stern's bio? I had a little on my mind, so I didn't get back to him for 3 days. So then he says, oh, don't bother. I slapped one up. And rather than it being a biography, it is the fabulous career of Bruce Stern.
Right.
I don't know how many people under the age of 55 even know who Bruce Stern is. And it's just, and it says, by Joe Blasnalis, Public Relations.
There was a lady on a show on TV called Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Oh, yeah.
Recently, and this lady was on, and the question she was asked referred to Bette Midler, a show that Bette Midler had been in. And, you got those 4 choices, and she had to ask the audience or ask a friend or something. But she said, well, it would be helpful if I knew who Bette Midler was,
Jeez.
So I'm thinking, I guess we're all getting old,
Yeah. If the guy had waited a day, he would have had a bio, a real bio. And I even said, would you like a new theme on it or something? And no, it's Hollywood. They just couldn't do it. So rather than getting a bio that would be treated seriously, because I don't know how many, you can go online and see how many times you've been cited in books or articles and stuff.
Yeah.
And my movie work, it's been cited a lot. But, politics, very not
little,
much,
Yeah. What's interesting, I think, is, like I talk about being dated, because if you look at music, for instance, when my kids, it's funny, I don't know why, but they know the Beatles and the Rolling Stones.
A 4-year-old knows the Beatles just like I did.
Kids even still know Elvis and stuff, and Buddy Holly and all that stuff. But when it comes to movies and Hollywood and that stuff, like if you say to a kid today, if you talk about the great comedians, like Charlie Chaplin, most kids no idea. Buster Keaton. Yeah. No idea. Laurel and Hardy. I mean, like they're completely lost to them. So Abbott and Costello. I mean, they have no idea who that whole piece is all gone. And then, anything like Fred Astaire and back through, Ginger Rogers and the whole thing back through that and back to Al Jolson and all the early cinema stuff. Is gone. It's not in the knowledge of the average young person today.
But it's not just that it's gone, that we're talking metaphorically. It's gone almost literally. There's no longer the top box office stars, which was the Motion Picture Herald, which was Quigley Publications, which, you had the number 1 box office star. They stopped doing it. There really is none anymore.
Right.
And because all movies are made for 12-year-old boys to 24-year-old boys who continually will go back to see a movie in the first 2 weeks. Right. Last movie I saw was Godzilla with my godson, Jeff Hamer, and we both fell asleep. But I did wake up to see San Francisco being destroyed, which was cool. Because I grew up going down to the theaters on the Strand Theater. What was a sex
what's comical now is I look
seeing these, a guy in a rubber suit. Now it's $200 million, and it's all like every movie you're inside a video game.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but I grew up and like with the James Bond was like when James Bond came out, it was like state of the art,
right.
Dr. No,
because
and all
they
that
spent
stuff.
a fortune. Those were practical effects.
Yeah. But they were practical effects, right?
Right.
And now when you look at them in hindsight, right, and you look at them now, and you can like see the cardboard cutouts sort of falling down and blowing up at the end.
Well, the James Bond movies but they spent the money.
Oh, they did.
You watch From Russia with Love, and they're still really good.
No, they're good, but compared to today.
But it's fake.
Yeah,
The
but-
last great movie with practical effects was Apocalypse Now, which cost Coppola a fortune. You know,
Right.
he has to blow up a jungle, so he had
Right.
to put tens of thousands of gallons of gasoline in there and then
Right.
blow it up.
Right.
Now you just do it on a computer.
Yeah,
This
there's
is-
still, I mean, there's still so many, you know, all these artificial intelligence stuff and artificial reality stuff and all
CGI,
that
yeah.
CGI. I mean, I was talking to I was talking to a guy one day, and he told me that he was in college, and I said, so what are you studying? And he said creative writing. And I said, and it must have come across in my voice, you know, because I love creative writing. But he must have, because I must have had an implied sort of negative, because I was sort of saying, "Oh, good for you," like, but that's a tough life you chose, because, you know, where's the money? And he came back at me and said, "Are you kidding me?" He said, "You know, creative writing." He said, "Where do you think all these games, the whole gaming thing, gaming is bigger than Hollywood, right? The whole
It's over 10. Hollywood's about $12 billion, and gaming's bigger than that.
right." So, and
I
all,
mean, the theatrical, of course,
Right.
the other stuff.
right, but all those video games, that people have to create those narratives. They have to write those stories. And now they write stories with multiple endings, because you choose multiple endings as you go along and all that. So actually, the world, the possibilities for a creative writer today are exponentially greater.
I don't know
than
if
they
that's
were-
you're talking
than they
about. Well, you're talking about a kind of writing. They're just going to write hack. You know, the old hack work of. I don't know if they had pulp magazines. When I had it was a kid, they still had pulp magazines.
right.
And you could actually make a living as a writer. You can't make a living as a writer unless you're on a staff or
Yeah,
a favorite of a magazine.
Yeah, I mean, there isn't room
No
for that
market.
anymore. But
You don't get paid.
But on the gaming side, though, there is, because they create these narratives that are just, you know.
They go read Beowulf. They don't have to go to college and
Well,
rip
you know,
that off.
I got to tell you, when you mentioned Apocalypse Now, you know, I remember waiting with bated breath for that movie to come out, because it had such a reputation before it came out and what was happening and all that
You
stuff.
had to wait. He shot it in '76. It took him 6 months, nearly bankrupted him. It was supposed to come out in '78, but it didn't. It took him over 2 years to cut
Right.
the movie.
But what I love about that movie is the juxtaposition or the comparison with Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness.
Right.
Because the whole idea, you know, the base idea goes back to, you know, multiple novels, but, you know, Joseph Conrad, I remember being rapt by that, in rapture in that book when I was reading it. The whole idea of sort of, you know, descending into nativism and madness, and, you know,
And then there's the poem, of course, quoted, Mr. Kurtz, he dead. A penny for the old guy.
yeah. So it's wonderful, though, to see.
T.S. Eliot, folks.
It's wonderful to see, though, you know, these important works. You know, they're redressed up in sort of. It goes to the point. I guess, that there's so much importance in this stuff to begin with.
Look, Jane Austen with sea serpents and stuff.
Yeah.
I think that genre's dead.
Yeah. Well, no, it's, you know, there was a book written a few years ago called Death at Pemberley, and it's the follow-up. It's a follow-up work to Persuasion. Is it Persuasion?
But has it got
Pemberley's?
Vampires or sea serpents
No,
in it?
no. It's like the story.
'Cause
of
you
what
know that
happened-
was a genre.
Yeah. But it's what happened to family. What happened to family after that? But, you know, I love to see this stuff, because I'm a big literature guy. And
Well,
my-
Snoo is
Yeah.
having up to October 31st, a short story competition which features 3 scholarships of various 3,000, 2,000, 1,000, 1,500 words. I was talking to the folks. I said, does it have to take place at a university and feature a university creative writing professor, which seems like all literature after
Yeah,
the late
yeah,
80s has
yeah.
to know. And I mentioned a story about where, you know, it was kind of an old story I might dig up, where after a huge fight between a character based on me and a woman that I was once involved with, she actually flies to what was then the Soviet Union on her own by turning into. In real life, she went in a 747.
Right.
But in this one, you know, it's a fantastic.
She took her broom.
A fantastic ending. And they said, no, it's going to be 1,500 words. So I guess she's not going to get to Moscow.
Well, I tell you what, I've often said, you know,
But you should write one.
Yeah,
You must have.
yeah.
Come on, in that
I'm
drawer-
living a couple right now. But I love, you know, when people talk.
I'm living a novel.
And people
Comic
talk about
novel.
our education system, and, you know, with all the
Those
minuses,
teachers.
the
Ugh.
teachers, but what they're teaching, like my kids at Central High
Lazy,
School today.
cantankerous union thugs that
No,
will only
well,
work half
yeah, so-
a year.
So my kids are home right now, and they're
I'm
when
just kidding.
Here last week they were doing Herodotus, the histories,
Jeez.
and it's just wonderful stuff.
That's the one I'll have. That's the story.
And
One of a
and
kind.
there's so and they had Oedipus and
Horatio at the
Sophocles
bridge. It has to do with a Japanese
Horatio
prostitute.
Do you want me to give you Horatio on the bridge?
Hey, we got a caller. Is this a caller for Jim?
Could he please recite Horatio
Hi.
on the bridge?
Welcome to the
Like
QCC.
the show, like the movie topic tonight.
All right.
Yes, and do you know who that was in the movie at the beginning? One of the greatest actors
Here's
of
a
all time.
question.
Go ahead.
Lon
Question
Chaney.
for you guys I'd like you to talk about. What do you think is the better high school movie? Ferris Bueller's Day Off, The Breakfast Club.
I like
Or the Breakfast Club.
Great movies that I think any kid going into high school should watch.
Breakfast
Yeah.
Club.
No, I'm a Ferris Bueller guy.
I look forward to hearing what you have to say.
Yeah,
Have a
yeah.
good night, guys.
Bueller.
What
Bueller.
happened to James
Bueller.
Dean?
James Dean, the rebel.
I know that you wanted to speak about
I wanna
a editorial about
I
Joyce
did, but
Craig.
before we do that, I wanna go
Joyce Craig, in her other life, went to Rydell High.
What I
Which
first
I've
want,
actually
I,
been to.
I first wanted to show off a little bit because I want to show off an Irish education, because you mentioned Horatio on the bridge.
Yes, a short
And-
story by yours truly.
Yeah,
It's
well,
nothing
here's
to do
here's
with
the original poem is a bit of an epic, but the key piece to that poem is there, and this is Horatio is standing on the side of the river Tiber in Rome, and the Etruscan army is coming to lay waste to Rome. And he and some of his fellow soldiers take down the last bridge crossing the river Tiber, so the Etruscans won't be able to cross. And the now almost defenseless Romans are standing on the other bank of the river, and they're hoping that the soldiers can take down the bridge before the Etruscans can cross.
Yeah.
And the poem takes up, and so the bridge falls into the water. Horatio sends the last of his friends back across the bridge, pulls the last span out, and the whole thing collapses in a sea of foam into the Tiber River, and the bridge is gone. But our friend, our hero, Horatio, is left standing on the same side of the river
Right.
as the Etruscans are.
I read that
And
at West High School.
he says, "O Tiber, Father Tiber, to whom..." I want you to understand that we don't have this written down, right? This is completely serendipity. You happen to mention this, right? "O Tiber, Father Tiber, to whom the Romans pray. A Roman's life, a Roman's arms, take thou in charge this day." And saying this, he sheathed the good sword by his side, and with his harness on his back, his uniform, and with his harness on his back, jumped in the raging tide. No sound of joy or sorrow was heard from either bank, but friend and foe in dumb surprise stood gazing where he sank. And when above the surging crest they saw his head appear, all Rome sent forth a rapturous cry, and even the ranks of Tuscany could scarce forbear to cheer.
Well,
Horatio on the bridge. I've been carrying that around inside me for 45 years.
in my story in Japan, the prostitutes put up pictures of themselves, and you're with like say a Western woman, and she's offended. So Horatio has to tear these all off to impress the girl. But you tear your fingernails. This isn't me. I was never in Japan.
no,
But
no.
it's based on somebody I know.
Well, it all goes
I
to
don't think they would like that at Snow.
It all goes to a classical education, though, and
Yeah.
how wonderful a classic education is. And the doubters
I
out
studied
there,
Latin
the
and
people I hear
West.
people talking about, our schools don't teach civics and our schools don't teach. I say to them, nonsense. Our kids, if they're going in our schools, at West High School, at Central, and at Memorial, I'm guessing at MST, I just don't know that. But they are compelled to take civics, and they do take civics. And
Everybody says they're not, which isn't
but
true.
it is not true. They all take civics, and they have to take civics, and they can't graduate without it. And that's always been the case. And it's just those who are passing misinformation and lies. Now, what they're not doing is recreating history, making gods out of the founding fathers, putting words in their mouths, and having us live in some 18th century.
Yeah.
From on the hill.
Hey, anybody, speaking of writing is the essential to I think any career. It's a basic act of cognition, but writing, people that studying Latin and or Greek, teaches you so much about the English language
Right,
or
right.
any language.
Right.
It opens up the language to you that you'd be ignorant of, and how you can use the language.
Yeah, it's sad because here's another example. My son at Central High School, he was a freshman last year. He did Latin, which was his first year with a language in Manchester schools because we didn't have
Right, I
foreign
started in
languages in middle
sixth
schools.
grade.
Yeah, but that was when we actually used to pay for
French,
things.
it's 6th through 8th.
Yeah, that's all gone. Now, we did reintroduce Spanish for some small group of kids at middle schools this September, so at least we've gone there. But my son didn't have that, nor my other 3 kids didn't have that because we did away with it as my kids hit the schools.
Where in any, I was raised in a place, it's just essential, but to know a foreign language.
So in Manchester today, as it stands today, so my son, he had 1 year so far in his years in Manchester Public School. He's a sophomore, and he doesn't have it again this year. He has to go do VLAX. So he just signed out for VLAX, so he doesn't. We can't afford to give him a teacher. The teacher at Central has to drive back and forth to Memorial every day, and there isn't enough of him for the amount of kids that they have, so he just doesn't have it. So those who want to talk about the great things happening in our schools, there are great things happening in our schools, but they're happening despite what our city and leadership does about it.
Well, we're going to go to baseball in
you're gonna
about
go to
5
your
minutes.
yeah.
We'll let you wrap up with no commentary from me while I struggle with my burgeoning belly and keeping
Okay,
this
so
tie
I
straight.
just wanted to touch off of, I said earlier, it's not my. I don't rail against the Union Leader because the Union Leader I see as a conservative newspaper. It prints conservative things. It has a conservative point of view. It doesn't pretend to be anything else, and so usually I let it alone. Because I'm fine with it, and I have some good friends who work there, actually. But today's editorial annoyed me because in the editorial, it repeats this lie that the GOP sent out a circular 2 weeks ago about Joyce Craig, about this letter that she wrote many years ago, where she went out to
That was the subject of an earlier editorial.
Yeah, but
which
they repeated it again today. This is my problem because they want to keep beating the drum because they won't. So this was this idea that Joyce Craig went out, talked to her constituents, wrote out a list of everything that they had to say about their ideas for the city, and when she presented them, she said, "These are not my ideas. These are all the ideas I got from people." And
when she was on the school board.
Back when she was on the school board.
And the school board were asked to collect
Ted
this info.
Gantz's campaign, and he himself used this against Joyce Craig the last time to beat her by 64 votes because he straight up lied about it and said this was her words and they clearly were not. But then the Union Leader, who already has said this once, comes out today and this is the way they put it, right? They said when she first joined the school board, this is today's editorial, she wrote up a lengthy list of creative ideas, including several ways to raise taxes. Why won't she share her plans for the city? Should Manchester voters take her word that Joyce Craig has some idea of what she plans to do as mayor, etc.? But just the sentence in there that they write, that they know is false, and that's my accusation against the Union Leader tonight. They know it's false when they say she wrote up a lengthy list of creative ideas, including several ways to raise taxes. And I listened to somebody the other day who was a renter in the city who said, out of ignorance really, but they said they weren't going to vote for Joyce Craig because Joyce Craig was going to introduce a tax on renters in the city. So my problem with all of that is if Mayor Gantzis would like to win another term, a 5th term in this city.
Craig authored a memo outlining a list of creative ideas. They're saying that she wrote this.
Yeah.
She authored a memo.
Right.
Outlining, with leaving out the part, very significant, even a citywide sales tax. Now, I can't talk about this because I am he who gets slapped.
Right.
I would like to.
Yeah,
but I can't. Yeah. I don't understand why other people aren't talking about this.
Well, I just object to, and my friends who are watching this, who are listening to this,
I've already sank into the water.
I have people on all sides of the political divide, but I call out dishonesty when I see it. This is just blatant dishonesty. And trying to win an election by lying to the electorate is just wrong. If you have ideas for the future of Manchester, let's talk about those. If all you have is telling lies about your opponent, then that's dishonorable and shameful, and the people of Manchester should reject it. He won an election last time round by doing this, and it just isn't right. He should talk about some of the things that he's done and what his record is. And I'm sure he has some things he can talk about. It's not as though he's done nothing. So it's
well, I can't. I would prefer not to talk about that subject.
Yeah. Okay. So we leave it with this.
With a Union Leader.
Yeah, I wish
There's
the
a
union
cutout,
would
right?
just be truthful. So listen, we let you go with that. It was one of the young men with the movie, or the young man, I presume it was a young man who asked about the movies. I'm a Ferris Bueller guy all day long, because what a classic movie that is.
It's a great
You know,
movie,
yeah,
but
yeah.
there's something about The Breakfast Club I like.
Well, I like so many, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to go. I'll be here all night, and my wife will shoot me for not being home. Thank you, guys.
Okay,
Thank you,
and
John.
we're
I
going to do
appreciate it.
baseball.
All right.
And thank you very much,
Thank you.
Jim.
See you soon. All the best. Good night, folks.
Okay, why don't we just go to Mr. Baseball show opening, and then we'll get Mr. Baseball on as I change my jacket.
How do you go in and run for Dean? Wait a minute. Listen, boss, I've been in the big leagues 14 years and I never appeared in a World Series. Please give me a chance so I can tell my grandchildren.
Oh, go ahead, boss. What do you got to lose? We're 7 runs ahead.
You heard what he said.
Dean is up, folks, and here comes the first pitch.
Strike one. Wait a minute. You okay, Sam?
It's all right, Roy. This damn glove.
Max, how the hell are you going to call him from way back there?
He looks wild to me.
Them your knees are here shaking, Max?
Mind your business, Red Nose, and play ball.
Throw it in here, Greenhorn.
All right, do it again, Roy. Come on, boy. Do it again.
Strike two.
Bunch of throwing spitballs.
Now, pig's poop. That ball's as dry as your granddaddy's scalp.
Well, you better not be trying any funny business out there. Rump pot.
You watch your mouth, mister.
Forget
Groove it in here, son.
Okay, this one's it, Climber. This is it. Don't let me down.
Don't let up. One more, boy.
Let's go.
Come on, Roy. High five, baby. Punch him out now. Yes, we go.
Strike three. You're out.
Welcome to the Mr. Baseball Show. I am Mr. Baseball, and along with my co-host guest,
Guests.
you're always a co-host,
I'm
John Hopwood.
I'm resplendent tonight.
We are going to talk about baseball.
I am entirely in orange.
Before I get going,
Yes.
what did I tell you about Greg Bird?
Ah.
Huh?
Hey, sometimes you're right, Mr. Baseball, and sometimes you're wrong.
Sometimes I'm wrong.
Now, who was the whammer in Bernard Malamud's novel, The Natural, based on?
I didn't read it. I don't
It's a
like
great book.
I don't care for those things. I don't like
Oh,
fiction.
but it's Bernard Malamud.
It's fiction.
It's Bernard Malamud. He's one of the great writers.
I can't get into it.
Well, The Natural is based on Ted Williams, but a 3-time AL MVP of the 1930s. Of course, in the movie, they're sticking him back in the 20s.
3 times.
Who won the AL MVP 3 times in the 1930s? Who was the whammer after Babe Ruth?
Well, Jimmy Fox.
3-time MVP, wasn't he? Or was he two?
Well, he's twice in a row, but he also won another one with Boston.
So he is the first 3-time MVP.
Yes.
Jimmy Fox,
Yes.
who died at a relatively young age,
Drinking.
in his 50s. Oh, I heard they said not drinking, but it was a fishbone in his.
Alcohol abuse.
Well, that certainly ended his career early.
Oh, it did.
Ted Williams said when he was a rookie there in '39, Jimmy Fox always had a Scotch bottle in the back of his pocket
In the back of his pocket.
during spring training games.
The back of his car.
Well, they had those little pints, remember?
Oh, yeah, I remember those things.
Hey, what about them Yankees, huh?
Who knows?
Studs.
I
I think they're going to go all the way.
I picked Cleveland. I
picked the Red Sox to
I prayed
go
that
the
I
way.
would be wrong. I picked Houston to beat the Red Sox. So I'm okay there. I picked the Dodgers to beat
The Diamondbacks.
Arizona. I was right there.
Goldschmidt didn't come through.
Now I did pick Washington, but they're down 2-1.
Well, tonight at 8:00, isn't it No, that's the Cubs
Yeah,
and
it's
the
five,
Nats.
5-something. Dodgers already won.
Are you going to go to Billy's Sports Bar to watch?
No,
Are you pooped out by all the baseball?
it'll be almost over by the time we get out of here tonight.
I thought it started at 8.
No, that's tomorrow night with the Yankees.
Ooh. Are you going to be at Billy's tomorrow night at 8?
Yes, I'll be there tomorrow night.
Joel, the Honorable Joel Elber. Could we see Al, please? Since I am like your sidekick, I think there he is. Oh, we can't see. Don't you believe it? Don't you believe that the Yankees can't go all the way?
I don't disbelieve it.
The Honorable Joel will be with your guest next week here at this time and place.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a big Yankees fan.
Well, I know he is.
Hopefully, you two won't be bawling like
No,
babies.
Moose and I have sat across and talked baseball with you, so
So,
I know he's a Yankee fan.
So Girardi seems to have saved his Yankees career. If they're gonna, would you give him a new contract,
Yes.
Joe Girardi?
Yes.
What about would you? Terry seems to be screwing up a little in Cleveland, huh?
I don't know that he's screwing up the
Oh, Mr. Baseball,
pitching.
you can let it all out. You can let your hair down on your own show. It's your own show. Although it does say the QCC here.
Well, I've always believed that a manager is as good as his material. So now take Farrell for instance.
John Farrell, who might be
162.
canned.
162 games, he got him into first place.
Ooh.
So he lost to a better ball club in the
Oh,
playoffs.
jeez, yeah. And that's what baseball's about. It's not about the 69 Mets
No.
doing in a better ball club.
Oh, that's
Which
going to
they did.
happen.
They did in the Cubs, too.
That's going to happen.
Did the 69 Cubs have that college of managers type of thing? Or was that earlier?
Yeah, I think was that maybe a year.
Who was the manager in 69? I know they had Leo
They
DeRocher
had
on the
8
bench.
revolving Joe.
Oh, it was Gil Hodges. No,
Coaches.
Gil Hodges was the Mets,
Mets.
who should have been in the Hall of Fame, but now where some 150-pound weakling can slam 400 home runs in his career.
Yeah.
150 kilo, I guess. that brings us up to Terry Forster.
Terry Forster giving up
130 pounds.
that big dinger.
I like this people. Can we see Aaron Judge? Here we go. Aaron Judge, number 99. Can we see him again? A little longer, please. 52 dingers. It was 52, right?
Right.
52 dingers. And I like to say, when I'm totally into the Yankees right now because of him and Sanchez and the guys. Cinderella team. But in other forums, I like to bring up that he's possibly a Pedsies. Oh, we can come back now, Kirsten, to the smiling face of Mr. Baseball, which is his show.
He's
Maybe we can
not,
get a
he's
two
not on
shot.
Peds. He couldn't get away with it today.
Let's have a nice 2-shot. There we go. I'm going to come in a little towards you. You come in a little more.
All right.
There we go. Isn't it beautiful? All the orange and the gold and whatever.
The gold.
You're looking. I think, I'm all in orange. I'm resplendent, but you're resplendent too tonight.
Well, I got it out of the dry
Oh,
cleaners.
It's a good thing we're not on HD TV. That shirt's seen better days.
The shirt?
I had a blue. It's got holes in it, Mr. Baseball.
I have a cat. She comes over.
Is this the same shirt you were wearing like a couple weeks ago?
No.
Because it didn't have holes in it.
I do have a couple little scratch holes from the cat.
I don't approve of cats. 'Cause I'm allergic to them.
Oh.
You know, I was going to buy a friend it's your show. We're not going to talk about my friends. Aaron Judge. Somebody says when I'm talking about Peds, and not only does he break Mark McGuire's record, somebody, who's just Simon Pure, and, would never take anything more than a root beer barrel in his career. And he broke Babe Ruth's record for most home runs at home at a Yankee Stadium.
Yes.
At a Yankee Stadium. Of course, And they said, well, he's 6'7". That's why he hit 52 home runs. How many guys are 6'6" or 6'7" have there been in baseball? I don't remember any of them hitting 52 home runs. Even
Frank Howard was
Frank Howard
6'10".
but he didn't hit 52.
No, he didn't.
Did he hit 48?
48, 49, yeah.
No, 48.
48, okay.
49 always used to be when you got up to a cusp in the olden days. Like 39 was as good as 40. 49, Frank Robinson hit 49, and Hank Aaron never hit 50.
No, he didn't.
Did he hit 48 or 49? I don't even think he got up that high.
I don't think so.
44, he just hit them all.
His number.
It's just, you look at the thing, 44, 40, 38, 39, and then it all adds up.
But a
after
good,
20 years.
consistent 20 years doing it.
Yeah, but he was in Connie Stadium in Milwaukee. That was not a home run hitter's park.
No,
Imagine
you're right.
If the Red Sox had him,
Oh, yeah. If that can happen.
right-handed hitter too.
Yeah.
In a right-handed park, that'd be good for a right-handed hitter. Jesus, they hit 1,000,
That's why I think Greg Bird's going to have a heck of a season next year. He's a left-handed hitter, and he hits left-handers.
Oh, you have a caller on line one. Hi, and welcome to Mr. Baseball. Mr. Baseball, here is one of your fans.
Go ahead, please.
Honorable Joel Moose Elber. I just want to
Moose.
give you an update. The Chicago and the Washington game is postponed due to rain, and they're playing tomorrow night at 4 o'clock. And the Yankee game tomorrow night, is on at 8.
Right.
And I just want to know to Mr. Baseball is that
Moose, you still there?
yeah, I'm still here, and I got to tell you, I got inside information. If for next year, Joe Giraldi will not be the Yankees coach. It's going to be Don Mattingly, and Joe Giraldi is going to go to the Marlins with Derek Jeter.
Is Peter White really still sticking with the fact that Girardi's going to be fired even after last night's game? I expect that Peter's your source.
Because he blew game 2 or 3 when they had that 5-0 lead. He never protested when the ball hit the end of the bat, and the catcher was yelling. The third baseman said, let's protest this. Let's get this review. Never happened. Giraldi claims during the press conference it was too late to review.
Yeah, but look what he's done now. He's won 2 games since then, Moose.
Well, it doesn't make any difference. Hey, if the old man was alive, George Steinbrenner, I think Joe would have been gone a long time ago.
Do you think he would have been fired right during the playoffs? Even Steinbrenner didn't do that, did he?
Well, I think George might would have waited. But don't forget, Joe Giraldi, he used to be the manager of the Marlins at one time.
That's right.
Yes.
And I think he's going to go back there with Derek Jeter.
Do you realize that he won the Manager of the Year award there?
Yeah. The year he got fired.
That's absolutely right. So I just want to give you an update on the Chicago and Washington game. Will be tomorrow at 4 p.m. followed by the Yankee game at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
I'm going to hang up and going to listen to you guys.
Moose, wait a minute. Wait. Oh, jeez. He was so negative. We want to. I would like to have heard him be ebullient, bubbly about what's happened. You've won 2 games. This team has come back from the hinges of hell.
Right. But what Moose said makes a lot of sense.
Oh, now we're going to have the old Mr. Baseball, huh? Casey Stengel's nothing but a bum. Oh, geez, 7 rings. Okay. Off to you, Mr. Baseball.
Anybody can buy rings. At any rate,
is that a real one on your finger?
yeah, it's real. But at any rate, what the Moose said.
I didn't know you were on the 53 Yankees.
No, I was on all of them. Let me get this in, please. Okay. Jeter played for Girardi. Girardi will probably go to the Marlins under Jeter's regime. And it makes sense that Mattingly, who's going to be ousted by the Marlins, who wanted the Yankee job in the first place, but Girardi got it, may become the Yankee manager. Donnie Baseball.
Why would Chap Bags and Tweedledum, we're talking about Hal, not Tweedledum or Hank, want to take on Donnie Baseball when he's blown out both in L.A. and in Florida? Yeah. It's not like you're picking up, Casey Stengel.
Same scenario in the Dodgers. Magic Johnson bought the Dodgers, and his old buddy, who stole second base, in that.
Magic Johnson bought the Dodgers years ago.
But
when they still had Torre.
Well, yes, and then they got rid of Torre,
and they didn't bring Dave Roberts.
And that's why he's there.
They had Mattingly. They had Mattingly.
I know that, but now it's Dave Roberts because he's friends with Magic.
What can you do with Yankees fans? It's just, oh my God. We've only won 27. Is it 27 or 28?
28.
If you could see the death stare at me, I'm withering here, right
you want me to,
here.
You want me to name them?
Yeah, I know you could. Yeah, Girardi is a bum.
Oh, he's a...
Terry's going to come back to the Red Sox.
Who?
Terry. He's going to leave the tribe.
Oh, no.
Oh, look, yeah, because he'd be hell on wheels.
No, he's got a good ball club over there.
It's Ohio.
Well, so what? Boston?
Ohio.
Oh.
Boston's the greatest baseball town.
It is.
In the world. And New York's right up there, too.
And Philadelphia. Yeah.
Yeah, but Philadelphia's got the worst fans in the world.
Well, they're tough,
Jeez.
but they're knowledgeable.
They were bred in the, what was the place called? The Philadelphia the Vet.
Yeah, Shibe Park.
Well, it was Vet. It was the Vet.
Oh, yeah, they played in the Vet.
Toilet Bowl.
Yeah.
And the
Baker
new generation of fans.
And the Baker Bowl.
Was sired by Steve Carlton, who is a cantankerous of individuals you could have, and the Philly Fanatic. I have that on good background information. You didn't know that, did you?
What about the Philly Fanatic?
Him and Steve Carlton. Spawn. It's a new screenplay I'm writing. It's called, Bruce Stern's a manager once.
I've heard everything now.
He's going to play the owner of the Phillies. Mr. We can't call him Carpenter.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be a good screenplay, though? You got the Philly Fanatic, Steve Carlton. Of course, you can't use them. And of course, everybody's in copyright. And they spawn these evil fans.
Yeah.
And you'd have a virtuous team come in and be assailed.
What do you think about CC going in the final game? They're bypassing Gray, which I think they should.
Dear old Sonny Gray.
Yeah, he just didn't have it. No, but CC pitched well. He should have had that victory. They, like the Moose said, or you said, we all said it.
Who would you go with?
He should have had that thing reviewed. What is he going to lose by having it reviewed? Nothing.
You only get 2 reviews.
He would have. That doesn't matter. That was the most important part of the game right there. Instead of having the guy still up, he goes to first base, loads the bases.
How did he know that somebody was going to hit a grand slam?
You don't know, but you still cover your tracks before it happens. Eliminate what did happen.
I think we should put blame where blame belongs. The umpires, who are genuinely evil, and that could be part of a screenplay, too.
Well, Sanchez nodded to Girardi.
Well, you're dealing with Sanchez. You're not exactly dealing... you'd think the two would have a lot of rapport because Sanchez needs a lot of seasoning as a catcher, and Girardi being an ex-catcher.
Yeah.
Hey, he screwed up.
Oh, he did. He did.
And you just won under his tutelage 2 games.
Exactly right.
And who's on the defensive now?
Well, the
lads in
momentum
Ohio.
has swung, but going to
Oh,
Cleveland.
to hell with Ohio.
Well, hey, they want to win also. So we'll see.
And they lost last year. So they got the hex on them. This, you've got to believe. Let's see that again. Joel L. without the Mr. Baseball as I scratch my balding head.
The Indians haven't won
I
since
look more
'48.
Now, Joel looks more like a baseball than you do. Don't you believe it?
I like
they
his-
are going to win.
I like his tan.
He's growing a beard now.
I'd like to borrow his tan when I go to the beach next time.
You should go with him.
I should go with him.
Being a Russian, you wouldn't mind going around at Hampton in the buff.
The buff, huh?
Joel is one of those, he's all into health and fitness.
Yeah. Now, do you?
Sunshine he claims has these healing properties. Maybe they'll heal Joe Girardi's reputation when he gets down to Florida.
Who knows?
How about Lou Piniella? Why don't we dig him out of the pile and throw him into the manager's seat up at the Bronx? Isn't it sad
did.
that
He was
Lou
there once.
never got to win a ring with the Yankees?
No.
That it had to be with the Reds.
Yeah, 1990 he won it with the Reds.
Yes. What was he with the Yanks in the late '80s?
Yeah.
Between Clyde King and the the second
Billy
coming,
Martin.
the 19th coming of Gene Michael.
Yeah.
How many times was Gene Michael the manager?
I think only twice.
Only twice. Why would Gene Michael
I think-
ever be the
I think he
manager?
came out of the front office to cover somebody that got the heat.
Yeah, for like 7 games. Then we
Yeah,
had Clyde King.
Yeah, exactly.
He looked like he was pickled half the time.
Well, Yogi only went
Eight
games one year.
And he got humiliated. And then they brought Billy in.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Billy for how many times?
Here's Mr. Baseball. How can you justify saying that Billy Martin's the greatest manager of all time when he won only one world championship, where Casey Stengel won 7?
It doesn't matter how many rings a manager has.
Zero in on him. Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't. They've got the material.
Oh, come on. And he didn't have the material?
Billy Martin didn't have Mickey Mantle. He was gone.
Look at the pitching. Who had a better pitching staff in the late 70s, in the mid and late 70s than the Yankees?
Well, they won in 78 and 77,
You
78.
take somebody and throw them in Yankee Stadium, and they'd become a 20-game winner if they were the right type of pitcher.
Well, just Ed Figueroa, I think, was the only one.
Torres. Mike Torres won 20.
I don't think he did.
Yes, he was the first Mexican to win 20, wasn't he?
I don't know. No, Ed Figueroa was the first.
Will you bet your toupee?
Bet my toupee.
Joel thinks everybody's wearing a toupee.
Well,
Some
this-
guy-
This is, but I got to get some more glue.
Yes, the lights are very harsh on
It's melting, but
my toupee melted off several seasons ago.
somebody in Los Angeles a few years back.
Look at all this stuff. It's all about schools and budgets and stuff. Let's talk about important stuff. What am I supposed to look at? Oh, whether Mike Torres won 20 games. Did he win it with Baltimore in '76 when Reggie was on the team?
He could have.
I think that's when he won.
Okay.
He might have only won 16 or 17.
He left the Yankees after the '77 World Series, even
a
though
free agent.
he won the last game of that series.
He might have been the first Mexican to do something, but I can't remember what it was.
I think
He
that's-
can't be the first Mexican to win a World Series game because
I think Ed Figueroa was the first
Puerto
Nicaraguan.
Rican. No, he's Puerto Rican.
Oh, I get him confused. Tippy
kind of
Martinez.
Yankees
You're
fan
right.
are you?
That was Martinez. Okay.
Mike Torres, they got him wearing a.
Then he went to the Red Sox.
My God,
and-
they got him wearing a Red Sox hat.
yeah, well, he pitched in the.
It's enough to put you off your food.
He pitched the playoff game in '78.
Oh yeah, now you're going to bring that up.
Well, yeah.
He won 20 games for Baltimore in 1970.
Okay, there you go.
He went 16 and 12 with Oakland. He must have swapped them for Reggie. 17 and 13. He won 3 from Oakland and 14 for the 77 Yankees. How many
Okay.
games did he win in the World Series?
He might have won 2. I know he won the last game.
2-0 with a
2, yeah.
2.5 ERA.
Yeah.
He pitched 2 complete games.
Yep.
It's when they pitched to a complete game.
He was a bulldog.
Yeah, and let's forget about him after the year 1977.
You know what I'll never forget about that playoff game?
This tie keeps...
Even though the Yanks were up
wandering.
3-2, Thurman Munson had struck out 3 consecutive times by Torres.
Yeah.
And for some reason, the manager brought in Dick Drago to pitch to Munson after Mickey Rivers got on. Munson doubled him home, so it was 4-2. Then Reggie homered in the ninth. It was 5-2. The Red Sox come back with 2. Tying run on. Yaz up, pops out to Nettles.
You were talking about Billy Martin
Yeah.
being the greatest manager ever, which no one would agree with you.
No, they wouldn't, but they don't. A lot of them
He's a
just
psychopath.
they just think of. You have to think of what he did with
winning?
each team he managed.
Well,
He improved them.
yeah, by cheating and stealing signs in Texas.
Well, hey, if
He
you
even admitted he cheated. That's why Bob Short fired him.
so what if you steal signs? That's part of baseball.
Yeah.
If you could pick him up, I think one of the most brilliant moves he ever did. He was playing second base. It was either the '52 or '53 World Series, and George.
We're not talking about him as a player. We're talking about him as a manager.
But I just want to tell you something. Let me get
And who was his mentor?
Casey Stengel.
Yes, taught him everything he knew.
So he's playing second base. He saw Charlie Dressen, who had managed him a year or two before, give a sign. He picked it up. Dressen wasn't smart enough to change his sign. Flashed a signal to Berra. The squeeze was on, high and tight, and the runner on third was out by a mile. That's just brilliant baseball. That's paying attention.
There's nothing here if you put Billy Martin, greatest manager ever, that comes up.
Well, who is? Connie Mack, because he was there
Could be one of the
50-something
greatest
years?
Yankee managers. I would say of Martin's time, it'd be Earl Weaver, who got more out of his teams than it. He had great teams and he had mediocre teams. He had the highest winning percentage. He'd bring a mediocre, good team in consistently, 1 or 2.
And you're into the rings? How many rings does he have?
Only 1.
Yeah.
But how many World Series did he go to? 4. How many did Billy go to? 2.
He went to 3 in a row. Well, he got canned in
2.
'78. Lemon
2.
took over.
2.
76 and '77.
2.
Yeah.
That's 2.
Well,
He was fired in '78, Mr. Baseball.
Well, I know. Lemon took over.
After he was having a meltdown, trying to bench Reggie Jackson, who was the highest paid player other than Catfish Hunter.
and Reggie should have been.
Oh, yeah, he should have been. Reggie Jackson with that bat should
Well,
be
when
benched
he gave him the sign.
forever and not played and told the bunt. Come on.
Well,
It's
and
crazy.
then what did he do? After he
Earl
took the
Weaver
sign,
managed him
after he took the
successfully.
sign off, Reggie still bunted half-heartedly
Dick-
just to show up Martin.
Dick Williams managed him successfully. Gene Mock managed Reggie successfully. Bob Lemon, for the little he had him.
Well, what about '77 when Martin managed him
Martin was-
successfully?
Martin was a psychopath. He was a mean
Oh, he
drunk.
was. Yes, he was.
He goes into the, Sparky Law talks with. He goes into with they're 13 down the Red Sox at the beginning of August.
Oh, I know.
And he wants to fight. Probably Reggie, who's would have. And then he wanted to fight everybody. And Sparky, who loved him, said, "You realize he was completely gone. It was sad."
Yeah.
And then they canned him.
Yeah. He had a drinking problem that was
A
well out of
drinking
order.
problem?
Yeah.
It killed him, his drinking problem.
Well, yeah, the accident on Christmas Day.
I think he should be in the Hall of Fame, along with Charlie Finley and his mule.
And his mule. Charlie O. Charlie O.
Which, Sparky Lowell hated that mule. The mule would come. Yeah, there's a lot of reasons to hate a mule.
Yeah.
The thing would come. What did Sparky Lowell say? It didn't have a real tail. It was so old, the tail was gone. So they had like an artificial tail. So they're in the bullpen trying to grab the tail, which is not where you want to be with a mule, an old mule.
And an old mule. And then there was Marge Schott with Shotzi, the dog.
And her Nazi memorabilia. And her kind way of characterizing African American players.
Oh, yeah, she was a case. She.
Well, yes.
Remember when the opening day the umpire died at home plate, and she said, "Well, why aren't we going on with the game?"
Hey, I agree with her. She's a businesswoman. Sling him on a. Get him out of there.
Oh, get out of here!
Have you ever been to a rodeo?
Yeah.
You've seen what happens. Do they stop the rodeo after, like, say, Shorty gets that Brahma bull stops the living hell out of him? And then they're always so like,
that's a different scenario.
Wow, you know, Shorty gave it a good ride, and let's hope he'll be. The guy looks like he's dead, bleeding.
That's like going to a bullfight. You're pulling for the bull.
Jesus, I'll tell you, those those guys on those bulls, it's pretty exciting.
You mean the running of the whatever you call it?
No, at a rodeo. The guys
Well, they're.
But now they've. That's a whole nother show. They've bred super bulls that can buck and kick their buns up, their hindquarters up at the exact same time.
And they tighten the cinch.
It's really like they went one or the other. Now they can.
And the cinch is not very comfortable for them.
The guys get even worse now.
Makes them.
So, it's your show. Although people looking at might not know. What's going to happen tomorrow? Are the Nats going to win? And what about the beloved Bandidos Yankees? To quote the movie Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
I think that Chicago might win.
Ah!
That would
hell with Chicago.
That would ruin my prediction. I'm pulling for Washington.
Hell with the Cubs.
They haven't been in a World Series since 1933 when they were in a American League team, and they lost to the Giants that year 4-1.
Who?
The original Washington Senators of the American League.
We were with Joseph Cronin.
Yeah, Joe Cronin.
Sold by his own father-in-law to
Clark
Tom
Griffith.
Yawkey.
Yeah.
Who did not want Pee Wee Reese because he wasn't talentless. Of course, because he wanted to hold on to his job. Yes.
Yeah.
I want to see the Nats win.
I would like that.
And they'll all take a knee.
Take a knee.
That's interesting, huh? It's really heating up in the NFL. With Jerry Jones, 1 week the marketing people tell him to be with the guys, and now because there's such a backlash, they won't play. Let's see what happens. I hate the Cowboys. I used to hate the Yankees until this new exciting team.
I don't follow football, but I don't care for the Cowboys either.
It's an American football.
No.
Football. You never been in Texas? It's
F-U-T, football.
No, you're talking like a Ruski now. Football. Down south, it's football.
Football. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is.
In Texas, in the 80s when I was down there, they spent more money on 16-millimeter films of high school football teams than they did on English instruction, which at the time, there was a lot of Latino and immigrants that needed that English instruction, as well as many a Texan who called football.
Yeah.
But, first things first, huh?
Absolutely.
High school football. Hey, you got 2 minutes.
2 minutes, huh? Is that
well, I guess we might have to go back to the QCC because I have an ending, which is a plug for Matt Connaughton Unleashed in the afternoon, which you never come on.
Well, Matt, I'm not going to talk politics.
We don't want you to talk politics. We want you to talk baseball.
Well,
because it drives Matt up the wall.
Well, then we'll do it. Let's drive him up the wall.
He can't stand baseball.
Right.
Bring in next Tuesday. Bring in Moose and you.
Yeah. Moose, thanks for calling in. I'm on your side.
The Moose is loose, and we're going to try to tape at Billy's tomorrow. If you want to go.
Yeah, I'll be happy.
We'll corral a couple cameras, Moose with his beard. He doesn't look
Lovely
good with it, yeah.
Krista has them ready to go.
Yes. What do you have to say to the folks at the Billies?
Well, pour me a beer. I'm on my way to Billy's.
Are we
now,
really?
now I'll turn it over to John for his closing remarks of...
I have no closing remarks at all.
I thought you
trying
said
to
you...
keep out of a courtroom.
I thought you said QCC or...
Oh. I like to keep things loose.
Loose.
Loose as a moose and a goose.
And a goose. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to say adios, but it's for you to say one more. We'll see you at Billy's. It's Tuesday night, but Wednesday, tomorrow.
I'll
Hopefully
be there.
we'll be haunting Billy's. And if you see two guys in orange coats, I was going to use a different word than guys, but, you know, it is family TV.
Yes.
Come by and say hello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
Maybe
we'll,
the moose will be there, too.
maybe we'll shoot a show.
Cindy, pour a couple. Headed towards Billy's. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm Senator Lou D'Alessandro, and I encourage everyone to listen to Matt Connerton, Unleashed, in the afternoon.
Romper, bumper, stomper, tell me, do. Magic mirror, tell me today. Have all my friends had fun at play? Today's a special day for Deanna and Scotty and Timmy and Alan and Terry and Indra. And a special day for Colin and Tammy and Carrie and Beverly and Christy and Susie and Jonathan and Nancy and Jason. And I also see Patrick and Kevin and Kent and Terry and Kenny and Kimberly.
Over hill, over dale, we will hit the dusty trail, and those caissons go rolling along. Powder march right about, hear those wagon soldiers shout, while those caissons go rolling along. For it's high, high, he in the field artillery. Call off your numbers loud and strong, and wherever we go, you will always know that those caissons are rolling along. Keep on rolling, that those caissons are rolling along.
Ooh, I'm so drunk I don't think I could lie down without holding on. I see Monty and I see Robin.
Here you are, Missy. Happy New Year to you.
It so happens that I do not know who you are, my good fellow.
Oh.